Good afternoon and welcome to Newsworthy Stories with Jacqueline Jimenez. I am the author of How to Get Television News Coverage. It's easier than you might think. And what I do is teach people how to identify news stories in their businesses or organizations, then help them get local or national news coverage, as well as produce news stories for social media. Today, we're learning how the game of golf has become a lifeline for an inspiring 10-year-old boy who now has his own line of golf apparel. As you can imagine, there's a story behind it all. Joining me now to talk about it and their upcoming charity golf tournament is Dr. Thelma Tenney of the Healing Arts Institute and her son Carter of his company called Spectrum. Hello, Dr. Tenney. Hi, Carter. How are you?
Hello, good morning, Jacqueline.
Dr. Tenney, can you introduce us to your son and tell us a little bit about how he got this far?
Sure. Well, this is Carter. He is the youngest of three children, and he turned 10 this year. Carter, when he was one, he was diagnosed with autism. So this is something that he lives with, and we have learned to embrace and just navigate life as best we can. And I think that's all I can tell you without telling his story, because he tells his story so well. But this is Carter.
Well, Carter, then tell us about your company, Spectrum, and how golf gives you confidence.
In the future, I was worried that nobody would employ me because I was different. So I wanted to start my own business and work for myself like my mommy. And that gave me a lot of confidence.
So, what did you do?
What did I do?
Yeah, how did you start the company? How did you decide you wanted to be a part of golf?
Well, my mom told me I played golf a while ago and that I loved it. So I wanted to do it again and I still love it.
And what do you love about golf?
Well, hitting the ball and having fun.
And getting it in the hole, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Carter? I know that your mommy said you have, your own story to tell about um, be calling, why you named it Spectrum and about your autism. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Sure.
What would you like us to know?
Well, I named it Spectrum because, as you know, I have autism and I'm high on the spectrum.
What does that mean?
It means I'm different.
It means you're different. But is that okay to be different?
Yeah, it's okay to be different.
And how can you share that with other people who might struggle not even just with autism, but about just being different? What have you learned through like the help that you've gotten through your therapist and people who have helped you? What do they share with you that gave you the confidence to start your own line of golf apparel and find something that means something to you?
Because everyone is different and I'm just different than anybody else. And then I'm special that way.
You are definitely special. Dr. Tenney, can you tell us, some of the things that Carter has done that has wowed you about how he got this far?
Yes, definitely. So Carter is very vocal about asking for the things that he needs. And that's something that I love and embrace about him. Before the pandemic, he was asking to be homeschooled and was told, right, mommy has to work, daddy has to work. We don't have time to homeschool you. And then I would say probably 2 years later, the pandemic came. And then it was okay. Mommy had to find a way to homeschool just like everyone else in the world. And making those, being forced to make those changes in my life to accommodate what he needed. And he actually said to me, right, so I thought you couldn't do this, right? So we could do it. And I said, yeah, we can. And he wanted to be homeschooled because bullying, being teased, people just and the schools did the best that they could, right? And so they would use the term Carter's special, Carter's different. And whenever something didn't quite go right, the students would go to this thing, right? Well, Carter's special. So, but again, that still did not stop some children, of course, from being mean and teasing and hurting his feelings. And that led to him just to not want to go to school. He loved school. He loves people. He loves interacting with people. And he could not really cope with the ability to not be able to choose what type of people he was around. So as we are teaching adults and young adolescents, right, choose the right group of people to be around, choose those good people, he couldn't do that in school. So when we went into homeschooling, we elected to stay in homeschool because there's control. And he goes to Florida K-12, so he still interacts with teachers online, with students online. However, it's a more controlled environment, and he does not feel like he's being abused. I think one of the pivotal points for me were having a special needs son and being a therapist and assisting lots of other children through social anxieties and suicide prevention. He at school one day told the teachers, right, if something else goes wrong today, I'm going to kill myself. And luckily, they knew me, know who I am. He was not Baker acted. They called me instead to come pick him up. But that was just a very scary thing for me to go through as a mother, dealing in the profession I'm in, and to have my son, right, to have these same things because he wasn't being heard, and because of the treatment he was receiving in school, that he felt at that moment that was the only out from the way he was being treated. So while we were in the pandemic, we fast forward and his anxiety kind of shifted from school because now he's in a safe learning environment. But if kids don't like me, mommy, who's going to ever hire me and get a job? And we're honest in preparing him that my mommy and daddy won't always be here. And his next question was, so when you're not here and nobody's going to hire me, who's going to take care of me? Will I be homeless on the street? And how can I not do this? And we went into self-employment, right? You can do this, and can I do what you're doing? And he started from wanting to sell lemonade, right? So I'll start a lemonade stand. Well, we have a garden out back. I'll sell my produce. And then we started doing the math and the business plan as to how much of those things you need to do to be successful. And he said, okay, well, how about golf? And he wanted a golf line. So he asked me, would I invest, right? So we've talked about that as an investor and what I've invested in him and how he has to pay me back. So that's how Spectrum Golf started. He came up with his logo on his own. He is so intuitive and so bright. As part of his autism, he also has dyslexia. So he transposes letters. So if you look at his logo, you'll see the S and then the G is backwards because he writes letters backwards. Again, as he said, he was thinking of a golf company and he thought of Spectrum Golf because he hears these labels that are thrown at him, right? Special, he's on the spectrum. So his website is Carter Spectrum Golf. And that has his story that he shares. It also has his story from my perspective. And Carter just has a huge heart. So he's like, mommy, can I give 50% of what I make to autism charities? And we had to have that conversation. No, right? You want to have to live, so you can't give 50% away. So he liked that number 5. So now 5% of every proceed that he makes at the end of the year, he wants to donate that to an autism charity to give back. And it's just an honor to be his mom, Jacqueline. I can go on for hours.
I know. And I just, what I love is that Carter, I don't even think you realize that adults don't have that conversation, with themselves, much less as to how to figure out how to start their own company. I don't know that you know how inspiring you are just by, what you shared, what you've done. And I really think that you're going to help some of these other companies or people who are looking to start their own business. In fact, I was talking about it this morning, how people are taking this time and what they've learned from the pandemic during that shutdown and relooked at their lives. But you were already ahead of us, Carter, with your line of golf apparel. Carter, can you tell me about what if someone were to go online, what are they going to find when they go online and see what kind of golf apparel you have? What do you have?
Well, they would see my story, and they would also see hats, shirts, visors, pants, cups, mugs, masks, and sweaters.
Well, I think that is awesome. I'm so looking forward to going online and sharing. I have so many friends that play golf. Can Dr. Tenney, can you tell us about the golf tournament, where we can sign up and for it?
Yeah, so we are having our second annual charity golf tournament where children and adults can participate in this tournament. It is going to be held the same day as last year. So it's February 12th, 2022. And you can register for this charity golf tournament at our website, which is Healing, HEALING, Arts, ARTS, SFL.org. And on that home page, there's a link that takes you to register. Right now, we're looking for sponsors for the tournament. You can also purchase a 50/50 raffle ticket, have as a fundraiser. And you can also buy your tickets to participate and play golf. And there are different levels for adults and children's teams. And Carter had his team last year, and he's looking forward to it. So just finding ways that my company can support him and the things that he wants to do and the things that he's passionate about has been a great experience for us.
Now, we can't leave this interview without learning more about the Healing Arts Institute, which was born out of Carter. It's been pivotal in helping families and especially children cope during this pandemic. What is also amazing is the Healing Arts Institute makes it possible to get the mental health services you need, whether you have insurance or not. Here's the story.
As the pressures of this life are reaching a boiling point, the reality of dealing with our mental health wellness is becoming more and more evident in every aspect of our lives. Now, Dr. Thelma Tenney, a licensed marriage and family therapist and founder of the nonprofit Healing Arts Institute, is making sure people who need help coping get it, whether they are insured or not.
If you don't have healthy boundaries, that's when your mental health is going to deteriorate because you're trying to be any and all to everything and everybody.
Dr. Tenney knows this firsthand. She began the nonprofit after her son Carter was diagnosed with Asperger's and felt a need for mental health services herself.
The anxiety, the stress, the depression, the guilt of feeling like, what did I do wrong? What could I have done different? Not really having a support system designed for me. What would you like to tell the kids who maybe have a diagnosis like you have, maybe autism or ADHD or something, what do you want to tell them?
That it's okay to feel different, and when you're upset, really upset, just talk to someone you trust.
It's a big difference to walk into an office and someone can identify with you that looks like you, that talks like you, that has the same background, the same aspirations, the same upbringing. So it really makes a difference, and not having that was my motivation to provide that for other moms.
What the mission for Healing Arts is to end stigma around mental health in marginalized communities. And when you grow up around it, people don't realize that they're growing up in trauma because you're around it. But it forms who you are in some way. It makes you have an edge to you, or it makes you afraid of something. And Healing Arts is trying to say, no, it's okay to ask for help.
Sometimes it's like maternity. You don't know that you have to elect for maternity care until you're pregnant, and you can't use it. So that's where the underinsured come in. They have health insurance, but it doesn't have mental health component to it. And then there's just those who don't have insurance at all.
Dr. Tenney's team is armed with extensive credentials, interactive techniques, and original handbooks. As a licensed sexologist, she also specializes in generational trauma and couples therapy. She has also authored a comprehensive workbook with her former professor and now colleague.
My experience and my other colleagues' experiences around things that are happening or relationship problems during the pandemic, people are realizing that they have things that they just cannot work out without a professional. And so I would say she probably get everything from stuff that's happening in the bedroom to stuff that's happening in the boardroom. This is our book, and it is basically a plan for people who are already married and didn't ask some questions they should have asked beforehand, or people who are planning to get married. And it's like a business plan, just like a mission statement, the whole bit, goals, everything that goes with that, budgeting, everything that would be a part of a relationship once a person got married.
Dr. Tenney believes in the benefits of mental health services so much that she and her staff take their own advice, holding group therapy for the therapist.
So one of the things that I loved is that we actually drew a picture, and then we actually kind of analyzed each other. And it really was like a healing of just being able to share. So we already know 10% or 50% of really why we feel better is because we actually feel heard by whenever we're talking. And so could you imagine when a group of clinicians are helping each other? It just felt like there was no judgment.
It's different when you are with people who know what they're doing rather than having someone who got a 5-minute introduction of this is how the meeting's supposed to go and this is what you're supposed to talk about. You need people who are trained, number one. You can't just have someone from HR do it.
Healing Arts Institute is not only looking to serve clients in-house or online, but on location.
What Healing Arts has to offer, well above and beyond so many others, is our willingness and our ability to go into schools and work with the officials, work with the kids. In a natural and symbiotic relationship. We want to be able to bring what we have to offer out of the office and, into the environments where these kids are and these people are who actually need that help.
And if you're questioning the benefits of mental health services, Carter's confidence has led him to create his own line of golf apparel and often plays in golf tournaments. For more information on the Healing Arts Institute, log on to www.healingartsinstitutesfl.org.
Thanks so much, Dr. Tenney. What an interesting look at, a different perspective on how to get mental health services, whether you have insurance or not. Dr. Tenney, as we enter a new year, this also brings on a level of anxiety. Can you share how to turn that anxiety into something positive before we go?
Yes, definitely. And I wanted to make sure I share with you We've recently received funding from Broward County, which enables us to provide, again, additional no-cost services to youth ages 3 to 22 at no cost, as long as they're a Broward resident. So I encourage everyone to reach out and just give us a call. You know, a lot of times we don't think we need therapy, but there is something missing, and we don't want to be labeled as crazy or the person who can't seem to pull it together. And I just encourage you to think of therapy this way. And one of my clients defined it as this. And so he's in therapy and he was having a bit of a time. And again, the stigma attached to receiving therapy still caused him to think, okay, I don't need therapy today, Dr. Tenney, but I need to talk to you. I need to see you. And his exact words were, I don't need therapy. I just need to come and vent, and we talk about some strategies to get through what I'm going through. And I giggled and I said, oh, kind of sounds like therapy to me, right? So if you can look at therapy as that place for you to go and vent and then develop some strategies how to deal with whatever it is you're dealing with, that's exactly what therapy is. It is not this thing that society has made it to be where something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. We're all going through the same things, myself included, my son and I included. We have our own therapists, and it's necessary to, as you say, learn coping skills, right?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, I call it coping strategies, you know?
Yes.
To me, mental health is just coping strategies, learning how to cope with things that might be overwhelming. And so, you know, you took the words right out of my mouth.
And I want to encourage people too. You think there's nothing that this person can tell me that I haven't already thought of and tried. And that's why I'm not going to go. I promise you, I, with 2 PhDs, think the same thing. There is nothing that a therapist can lend to me that I don't already know that I haven't tried. And every time I go in with my therapist, I gain a new perspective, a new something that I did not think of to try. So just be open-minded.
I appreciate you sharing that. Dr. Tenney Carter, it is so great to have you. One more time, where can we sign up for the charity event or learn more about the Healing Arts Institute?
So you can find out about Healing Arts Institute at healingartssfl.org. All of our information is there. And for more information on Carter Spectrum Golf, his website is just that, carterspectrumgolf.com.
All right. Thanks so much for joining. It's so good to see you again, Carter.
Nice to see you too.